Hello and welcome to Nightline. I'm Nakia Basharuddin. News making the headlines. Up to Azmin to go on leave or not, says PM. And Span issues warning to Selangor over water disruption. Welcome. The Prime Minister on Wednesday said that it is up to Economic Affairs Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali, who has been implicated in a sex video, whether to go on leave or to stay on. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said that no one is guilty until proven so. The Prime Minister was commenting on the call by Deputy Primary Industries Minister Datuk Sri Syamsul Iskandar Mat Akin that political leaders implicated in any kind of wrongdoing should go on leave.
Yeah, you can take leave or you can get your money. You are not guilty.
He said this to the media after launching the inaugural Beyond Paradigm Summit in Kuala Lumpur. Tun Dr. Mahathir also called the dissemination of the sex video as a political move to bring down the Economic Affairs Minister. The Pakatan Harapan chairman said it was not merely a criminal offence, but a political game.
Well, I think, the whole thing is about politics. It's not about exposing somebody's wrongdoings. It's about politics in order to prevent somebody from being able to succeed in politics. So it's a political scheme that is definitely intended to prevent somebody from succeeding.
And there's no need for Azmin to step with this new party.
Too many questions.
Last month, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said that there is no need for the Economic Affairs Minister to go on leave until the police conclude their investigation into the sex video. And if Datuk Sri Azmin is indeed found to be the other man in the sex video, PKR Chief Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said that the Economic Affairs Minister should resign.
PM has adjusted his earlier remarks. First is total defence, but now giving the option whether for Azmin to resign or not. Which of course indicates something more drastic than that. If the investigations is rather conclusive in terms of the participants in the so-called act, then I think he needs to resign. But if we have not ascertained the truth or veracity of the people, the two guys in the video, then he has the option to stay.
And reacting to the remarks, Datuk Sri Azmin said Datuk Sri Anwar should mind his own affairs instead of commenting on the sex video scandal, which is part of an official police investigation. The Economic Minister said that the Port Dickson MP should instead practice self-reflection.
Tell him he must. Apa ni? Ramai sangat. Okay. Tell him look at the man in the mirror.
Datuk Sri, apa maksudnya Datuk Sri? Semalam Datuk Sri pun cakap jangan jadi munafik. Maksudnya apa?
Muhasabah. Okay.
Muhasabah dari siapa Datuk Sri?
Ask Anwar to be muhasabah. Okay. Cermin muka dia dulu.
Meanwhile, a state PKR leader and another individual have been remanded for 4 days beginning Wednesday in connection with the sex video. Bukit Aman CID Director Datuk Huzair Mohamad confirmed they were arrested on Tuesday along with a third individual in Pasir Gudang, Johor, but the third man was released after police recorded his statement. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code and the Communications and Multimedia Act. Since the sex video of the two men went viral on social media, former Santubong Keadilan Youth Chief Haziq Abdullah Abdul Aziz has admitted he was one of the men in the footage. The Kuala Lumpur High Court, in the meantime, retained a 6-day remand order imposed on Haziq to assist with the investigations. However, 5 other suspects detained in relation to the sex video probe will likely be released on Thursday as the High Court reduced their remand order from 6 days to 4 days. Justice Colin Lawrence Sakira said that Magistrate Namira Hanum Muhammad Al-Baki had erred in issuing the 6-day remand order for the 5 due to the lesser nature of the offences for which they are being investigated. In his ruling, Sakira said the 5 were being investigated only under Section 292 of the Penal Code and Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act 1998, and the maximum remand period that could be imposed at a time was 4 days. The National Water Services Commission SPAN on Wednesday issued a warning to Air Selangor saying restore water supply by 9 p.m. on July 26 or face senior management changes. Speaking to the media in the Parliament lobby, SPAN Chairman Charles Santiago said that the warning is issued as there are one too many water cuts happening.
I asked for cooperation, I asked for kerjasama from orang ramai. And we understand the anguish, we understand the anguish, and some of us are elected representatives. So the anguish is 10 times more on us than the rest. So we are on top of things, and we'll be on the ground on the 23rd. And we have all requested for the briefing and also to make sure the water is available at different points in different tamans and the different wilayas. I mean, our point basically is that the guarantee given to us by Air Selangor is that by 9 p.m. on Friday, everybody should have water. All the 700,000 over connections will have, connections will have kawasan, will have water back as normal. If it does not happen, then we will request management change.
The improvement works will take place from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on July 23rd to improve the water supply system to some 3 million consumers in 758 areas in 7 Klang Valley districts. Santiago also acknowledged that the work needs to be done as parts and equipment needs to be replaced. The addition of 13 state seats in Sabah will benefit the people, especially in obtaining more efficient and effective services from elected representatives. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said the move would also improve the standard of living and boost development in the state.
Satu perkara yang ingin ditegaskan di sini adalah pembahagian bilangan pemilih berdaftar yang hampir sama banyak bagi setiap bahagian-bahagian pilihan raya persekutuan dan negeri di dalam negeri Sabah agak sukar untuk dilaksanakan kerana terdapatnya kawasan-kawasan luar bandar yang keadaan topografi dan demografinya yang sangat berbeza antara satu sama lain.
Tun Dr. Mahathir said this when tabling the bill on the redelineation recommendations for parliamentary and state constituencies in Sabah in the Dewan Rakyat on Wednesday. Also recommended were changes in names of 1 parliamentary constituency and 3 state constituencies in Sabah. Meanwhile, in his speech at the Beyond Paradigm Summit 2019, Tun Dr. Mahathir urged local, small and medium enterprises, SMEs and businesses to be at the forefront of digital transformation in order to stay attractive. He also cautioned that the country risks losing out on potentially new innovations and untapped talent if local industry players do not catch up with Industry 4.0 and its advancements.
The 4th Industrial Revolution will change the kinds of jobs needed in industry. Our strong view is that as a nation, we must create the jobs of the future. Our goal must be to automate work but humanize jobs, allow machines to do the dangerous and repetitive, and ensure we humans have the capacity to do the creative, emphatic, and interactive parts.
He said this in his speech at the Beyond Paradigm Summit 2019, organized by Serba Dynamic Holdings Berhad on Wednesday. Tun Dr. Mahathir also noted that a paradigm shift among SMEs, especially on innovation and creative solutions, was the key to propelling the manufacturing industry forward, as it accounted for 98.5% of manufacturing companies and 42% of employment. Themed Creating Distinctive Digital Solutions, the two-day summit will showcase advanced technologies encapsulating the core ideas of automation and data exchange surrounding IR 4.0. Malaysia's national debt rose to 1.09 trillion ringgit in 2018 from 1.08 trillion ringgit in 2017 based on accrual accounting. According to the chairman of Special Parliamentary Select Committee, Datuk Sri Mustafa Mohamad, the amount comprised of federal government's debt, debts guaranteed by the federal government, and One Malaysia Development Berhad's net debt. The amount also included other liabilities comprising public-private partnerships, private finance initiatives, and PBLT Sdn Berhad, a unit under the Minister of Finance Incorporated, amounting to 184.9 billion ringgit.
Di bawah accrual accounting ini, kita perlu melihat kepada asset liability sepenuhnya, termasuklah tanggungan masa depan. Itu perbezaan. Kalau cash, kita rekod transaksi saja, ya, hasil masuk, duit masuk, kita rekod. Tetapi accrual ini kita rekod juga tanggungan, ya.
The government had adopted accrual accounting in 2011 in line with the International Monetary Fund IMF's guide on public sector debt statistics, which applies the same method. The government began the process of migrating from cash-based accounting to accrual accounting in 2015, which would be completed in a year or two. Victims of the Sungai Kim Kim toxic pollution have filed civil suits against 12 parties and are seeking compensation amounting to 30 million ringgit. 71 victims include fishermen, and Pasir Gudang residents filed the two suits in the Johor Bahru High Court. The first suit named was filed by 42 residents, including school children, while the plaintiffs for the second suit comprise of 129 fishermen whose income had been affected by the pollution. The defendants in the suit include the federal government, Johor state government, and various government agencies. Also named were two directors of a company and a lorry driver accused of causing the pollution. Yap Yok Liang and Maridas and Singaporean Wang Jing Chua were previously charged in court for disposing toxic waste into Sungai Kim Kim last March. During the incident, over 4,000 people fell ill and 111 schools in the Pasir Gudang area were closed. After this breather, 5 murder suspects escaped gallows in Seremban. Don't go away. Welcome back. The Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak's SRC trial. Former AmBank Group Managing Director Chia Teck Kwang told the Kuala Lumpur High Court on Wednesday that he met fugitive businessman Low Teck Jo or Jolo at Datuk Sri Najib's house in Jalan Langgat Duta pertaining to the former Prime Minister's request to open bank accounts in AmBank. 72-year-old Chia said he was taken in a car that drove him straight to the personal residence of Datuk Sri Najib to discuss the opening of the bank accounts in mid-January 2011 at 7 p.m. Chia said he explained the procedures of opening bank accounts with AmBank to Datuk Sri Najib, and he also mentioned that the opening of the said accounts must follow the rules and regulations of the bank. He also stated to Datuk Sri Najib that he was obligated to inform the Bank Negara on the opening of the said accounts because Datuk Sri Najib is a politically exposed person. He said he then provided the blank bank account and credit card opening forms to Datuk Sri Najib, who proceeded to sign all the forms. Chia added that the meeting lasted for about 20 minutes. He testified that a few days later, he met Bank Negara Governor Tan Sri Zeti Akhtar Aziz in her office, where he informed her of the opening of the said accounts with AmBank by Datuk Sri Najib, and she had no objections for AmBank to do so. Shia also said 2 credit cards were approved under the name of Datuk Sri Najib, which are Visa Platinum and MasterCard Platinum. He stressed that he recognized the credit card application form and the code names given to Datuk Sri Najib's accounts, as they were based on the query made by Jolo to have the accounts dealt with the strictest confidence. The witness said soon after he was no longer informed of any further actions taken in relation to the personal accounts of Datuk Sri Najib, as he retired from AmBank in April 2012. The hearing before Justice Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali continues Thursday. The government collected 91.86 million ringgit through the Real Property Gains Tax (RPGT) for the disposal of properties of more than 5 years. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng said a total of 4,524 disposals has been made as of July 9th this year, involving both companies and individuals.
Tambahan hasil sebanyak 91.87 juta ringgit melalui kutipan CKST telah membantu mencapai hasrat kerajaan untuk meningkatkan hasil negara dan juga.
During the tabling of the budget 2019, the government raised the RPGT rate for the disposal of properties and shares in realty companies of more than 5 years. The rate imposed is 10% for companies and individuals who are non-citizens, compared to 5% previously and 5% for Malaysian citizens and permanent residents when it was earlier 0. Bahrain has expressed an interest in importing national car maker Proton Holdings Berhad's best-selling model, the X70. Entrepreneur Development Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Rezwan Yusof said the country is also keen on strengthening bilateral relations, which could provide trade benefits to Proton.
Malaysia ini dipandang oleh masyarakat antarabangsa selepas kita mengambil alih daripada kerja lepas. Semana-mana saya pergi hari ini, boleh menarik bilateral, meningkatkan bilateral semua negara di seluruh dunia lah. Dari segi pelaburan masuk ke dalam Malaysia dan juga mahu Malaysia melibatkan diri dalam pengeluaran keluar negara. Jadi kalau kita baca mana-mana portal pun menyatakan Malaysia is one of the top, if not the top destination for FDI.
Datuk Sri Muhammad Rezwan said the matter had been conveyed to Proton and it was up to the company to pursue it. Earlier, Proton said it was confident to double or even triple export sales this year with the help of the Malaysian government. Its Chief Executive Officer Lee Chun Rong said this was also be driven by the company's internal strategy to boost sales overseas. The first World Hospitality, Lifestyle and Entertainment Exhibition and Conference, Whole Penang 2020, is expected to draw 350 exhibitors from 30 countries. Pulau Pinang Tourism Development, Arts, Culture and Heritage Committee Chairman Yeo Soon Hin said the expo was also in line with both state and federal government's 2020 initiatives in achieving 30 million tourists and spending of 100 billion ringgit in foreign receipts.
As Penang usher in Experience Penang Year 2020, in anticipation of sharing the experience of Penang to our visitors, including business visitors, we are happy to welcome our high group services.
The 3-day expo will take place in Spice Arena and Convention Centre in Pulau Pinang between September 10th and 12th next year. The international exhibitors are likely to be from countries like Australia, Austria, France, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, New Zealand and Taiwan.
Once again, those with the smartphones there, be sure to upload those pictures on social.
In Negeri Sembilan, 5 men, including a policeman, escaped the gallows after they were acquitted and discharged by the Seremban High Court on Wednesday over the murder of a man 4 years ago. Judicial Commissioner Datuk Muhammad Jamil Hussein freed all the accused without calling them to enter their defense after finding that the prosecution failed to prove the case beyond reasonable doubt. The accused, police officer S. Selva Kumar, N. Suresh Kanan, N. Tanabalan, R. Veramutu, and N. Rajasakanan were charged with having a common intention to kill the 31-year-old man on a hill at a landfill site in Seremban between February 11th to February 12, 2015. They were charged under Section 302 of the Penal Code, which carries a mandatory death penalty. In his judgment, Datuk Muhammad Jamil said after maximum consideration, the court found that there were no statements that can link the second to fifth accused with the offence. Datuk Muhammad Jamil also said that the prosecution had also failed to establish a prima facie case against the first accused, Selva Kumar. In Pulau Pinang, 2 men pleaded not guilty at the Balik Pulau Magistrates Court on Wednesday for the offence of injuring a 13-year-old teenager last week. The accused, Toh Tat Fu, aged 36, and his 17-year-old friend made the plea when the charge was read in front of Magistrate Nur Azuin Abdul Muati. The court allowed Tat Fu to be released on 1,800 ringgit bail, while his friend was jailed 1,000 ringgit and set August 22nd for the mention. In Kelantan, a cleaner who robbed a mother with her baby was sentenced 8 years in jail and 8 strokes of the cane for his heartless act. The Kota Baru Sessions Court passed the sentence after Muhammad Shazwan Ali, 26, pleaded guilty to robbing the woman last February outside a house in Sering. The court had ordered that his sentence begin from the date of his arrest on 1st July. In Terengganu, a former director of Yayasan Bhakti Negara Terengganu, YBNT, was charged at the Sessions Court on Wednesday with another 50 counts of fraud involving Umrah packages worth over 130,000 ringgit. Muhammad Adam Muhammad Ghazali, 31, who was charged in 2 courts, however, pleaded not guilty to all charges involving more than 30 victims. Muhammad Adam, who was charged with 26 counts before Judge Azman Mustafa, was granted bail at 209,000 ringgit in one surety, while for 24 counts in front of Judge Jamaluddin Mat, he was granted bail at 240,000 ringgit. The accused was also ordered to report to the Sessions Court twice a month. Sudan military and civilians sign deal to end deadly turmoil. Do stay with us. The foreign front. In Iraq, Turkey's Deputy Consul General and 2 other diplomatic employees have been shot dead while having lunch at a restaurant in the city of Erbil on Wednesday. According to local authorities, the shooting reportedly took place around 2:30 p.m. local time at the Hookahbaz restaurant in Erbil's Empire City neighborhood. It is reported that a gunman opened fire at the restaurant where Turkish diplomats were dining before fleeing in a car driven by an accomplice. Several officials from the Turkish Consulate General were also present at the restaurant when the attack took place. So far, there was no immediate claim of responsibility, and security forces are on the manhunt for the attackers. The shooting comes as Turkey continues its crackdown on Kurdistan Workers' Party (PKK) militants in the area. Sudan's ruling military council and opposition leaders assigned a power-sharing accord on Wednesday, paving the way for a civilian administration following 3 decades of autocratic rule. Based on the 22-clause accord called the Political Declaration, the 11-member governing body will rule the country for just over 3 years, after which elections will be held. It will have a total of 6 civilians, including 5 from the Forces of Freedom and Change, FFC, and 5 soldiers from the Transitional Military Council, TMC. The body will be headed by a general during the first 21 months of the transition, followed by a civilian for the remaining 18 months. Meanwhile, a second agreement on constitutional issues is expected to be finalized on Friday. Sudan has been in turmoil since the toppling of President Omar al-Bashir in April. In Mexico, an Irish artist, Finn Dack, painted a giant mural titled Magdalena on a building in Guadalajara in honor of a Mexican painter, Magdalena Carmen Frida Kahlo, in the month of her birthday. Let's take a look as we wrap up Nightline this time around. With that, I'm Nika Basharudin. Thank you for watching.